What's up, War Report family? Your boy C-Dub here. Auburn pulls off an upset in an amazing home finale of Jordan Hare last night against Texas A&M, and we are here to talk about it all. This is the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate. Brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub. I Joe. Be Will. By G. You are now listening to
Weekend Tailgate. You guys know the deal. $5.99 a month. Hit that join button. Join one of the greatest Auburn communities that exists on the internet. We had a good time last night, fellas. Auburn pulls out the win versus Texas A&M. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But look, we've got lots of great content coming for you guys. Ike is still doing film reviews for you. So you want to be a member so you get a part of that. You can be a part of that. I want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamala grills. We appreciate them for sponsoring the War Report. They do a great job. Help us help them stay on. I can tell you, B has the fire pit. I've got the Kamado grill and lots of great memories made around those things already. Guys, you can give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. We appreciate our community for doing that. Let's see if we can get about 50 memberships given away here today. I also want to thank show sponsor Joy Mode. Visit tryjoymode.com and use code report to get 20% off plus free shipping. I can tell you from experience, Joy Mode is handing out dreams around here. So you want to get on the train. Imagine a supplement like your favorite greens packet that you can put in 6 to 8 ounces of water, and bam, 45 minutes later, you're ready to have a good time. Joy Mode, tryjoymode.com. Use code report to get 20% off plus free shipping. Also, once you're done, if you want to chill out after that, visit our friends at the Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Use code report to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Longtime sponsors of the War Report, please go visit our friend Richard at Rogue Shop and tell him that the War Report sent you.
Gentlemen, I hear y'all had a good time last night.
It was fantastic. I had a better time than I did, I can tell you from experience. I sat next to him the entire time. And
yeah, I almost got kicked out of the press box. I ain't gonna hold you. I almost got kicked out that bit.
Oh man,
he had a good time. He had a good time.
I saw you rush the field. Would you actually rush the field, Mike?
Well, it wasn't a rush. I went out there looking for Freeze. I can tell you I did not find him, so I ended up just getting footage of everybody else rushing the field.
Gotcha.
But I ran to midfield to see if I could get Freeze and Cam Coleman at midfield. It was an absolute madhouse. Auburn has only done this twice, guys, since 2001. My freshman year, senior, your sophomore year, Caesar, I believe it was, when we took down #1 Florida. Steve Spurrier's #1 Florida in Jordan Hare. Damon Duval kicked a 48-yarder, I think, into the wind to win that one. And then, of course, the kick six. That one was crazy as well, too.
They did a couple of times since then, I think.
Well, when? After kick six?
Yeah. I think they beat Bama again. I think it was one of those years and they rushed the field again.
Did they rush in 2019?
I think it was 2019 they rushed.
No way. No way we rushed in 2019.
I don't remember whether.
I think they've done it since then. I think so.
All right.
I think so. Either way, it was an amazing environment last night. And it culminated in one of the more stressful games.
Chat saying that people rushed the field in 2019.
I thought they did again.
Did they?
I thought they did again. Yes.
I don't know if I like that.
You don't know if you like
Man, rush the field every game. I don't care, man.
I don't care.
Beat ULM, rush the field. I don't care, man.
Hey, listen, we got hit with that $250,000 fine last night. I know that much. But gladly.
We'll pay it.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
We'll
Start the GoFundMe.
But it was a great environment. Also a major recruiting weekend. We won't have to dive into that, but we can talk about. It was almost we joked about it. We wanted to say it was a tale of two halves, different halves, but that was three different games played in one last night. Auburn had an amazing first half. Came out in the second half. Obviously, A&M was going to adjust, and they did. Scored 14 points to tie it up at 21. And it looked like here we go again. Ike, your thoughts about what you saw in this game, and what are some of the things that stood out to you?
I mean, honestly, I liked the plan of attack early. It was clear they were going to, like, people all year have been talking about the RPO system, but the RPO system is built to say, okay, this is what you guys are showing, so we're going to counter with this, and it's all built into the play, right? Like, you don't have to go and do a bunch of stuff. You just kind of have to know, all right, they're lining up this way. So they went to a lot of stuff early. A&M, and I talked about this kind of in my breakdown, I didn't know whether or not they were going to go Kentucky, which is, we've got the athletes, we're just going to line up and see if we can stop the run. And that's what they tried to do early. They were just like, all right, we got guys who can get off blocks. We're just going to try to do that. And Auburn was like, fine, we'll run. And they ran successfully. And then A&M was like, all right, we got to add an extra person. Auburn was like, all right, cool, we'll pass. And it worked. So it was just a good combination of understanding what you needed to do. And then A&M was like, man, forget all this. And they started sending the house. They started sending everybody, blitzing pretty much every other down. And it just disrupted everything that Auburn was trying to do offensively. And they sputtered there, and it was looking like, oh my God, are you serious? The guy who was sitting next to me was like, when's the last time Auburn was up this big in an SEC game? I was like, Mississippi State a couple years ago, and Auburn lost that game. And he's like, oh, sorry, I brought it up. I was like, yeah, just let's not talk about that. And then it looked like it was about to be a repeat of that. But they found a way late in the game. Defense, props to that defense, man, for getting stop after stop after, when their backs were against the wall with quick change situations. God, Oscar Chapman had the worst game I think he's ever had in an Auburn uniform.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what his average yard per punt was, but it had to be an awful last night.
The documentary is going to be called "Surviving Oscar Chapman."
I have no idea.
He was
how he
terrible last night.
Bad.
Yeah.
He averaged 34 yards, actually.
34 yards per punt.
He shanked 2 at the absolute worst time. And I mean, we'll have this conversation later in the offseason, but boy, the kicking game needs a look. I don't know how my boy Tanner Burns survives this season. Like, special teams has been
Freeze
awful.
gave him props in the post game for going and finding Ian Vachon after Birmingham Southern shut their program down.
He was the bright spot.
Famous last words. Famous last words, because Ian missed the field goal earlier that I thought was going to come back to haunt Auburn.
Yeah.
It didn't. But I would not say special teams was good last night.
Ian clutched up though after that missed field goal, like, because every other one that he kicked there was no doubt.
How long were the other ones?
He had a long
one of them was
46.
short, but there was like a 46-yarder in there.
He had a 46-yarder, and one was like 30-some yards or something like that. It wasn't a long punt either. But
the one that he hit
he had a 40-yarder.
He absolutely it wasn't a long kick, but it's like
41.
You have to have it, right? Like, there's no we'll get him next play type. Like, you gotta have it, and then overtime you gotta have it. And he banged every one of those. I was like, okay, all right, clutch up, young man, because
he hit a 41-yarder in overtime.
Yeah.
And the one descended to overtime was 29 yards. I mean, it was a chip shot field goal, but like, look, man, he owed us that one. All these kickers.
Have we not seen kickers this year miss chip shot field goals for Auburn?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know if their NIL checks should cash this year. It's been rough, and it's even tougher when your kicker doesn't make kicks. But like I said, I think they need to take a good, hard, long look at the kicking game in the offseason.
That's for sure.
I agree.
They've got some things to shore up, because again, when your guy Oscar Chapman is shanking them, then like where do you turn? Like it's his last year, but that was his last performance. That is the worst. That's not how you want to go out on your senior performance in Jordan Hare. Like shanking 2 of them and a third one you just kind of mishit and it stayed in bounds, but it only went 30-something yards.
And you talk about a model of consistency throughout his whole career. Like that was the thing that left you scratching your head. It's just like, dude,
that's what made
never
you feel
even
like
hinted at this.
Like that's what made you feel like, did we unlocked a new way to lose? The punter shanks shanks us into a blitz. Like it's a new one.
Yeah,
like we're used to pick six ruins it, right? Because we almost had that one, right? He threw a ridiculous pass that the line. If you go back and watch the replay, the linebacker should have caught it. It bounced directly off of his chest. It went straight to him, and then it ricocheted directly to an A&M guy. And you're like, oh, here we go with this crap again.
You know, this game to me, I said this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again. This game to me was about Peyton Thorne.
For sure.
It was about whether he was going to show up or not.
Props to Peyton Thorne, though.
He showed up. And I know there was the untimely interception that bounced off the defender and got caught on a ricochet. But I think we've been killing him all year, and it's just time to give him credit on this one. On that last drive, every Auburn fan had that feeling. Here we go again in the fourth quarter, under 3 minutes, with enough time to score. And no faith. People were tweeting at me. Our girl, Dr. Trimiteri.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was like, Mike, you know who the quarterback is. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have that feeling. I left Isaac and I went down to the field for the last 5 minutes because I said, you know what? I've been doing this all year. Every time I leave the press box, they lose. I think this one feels a little bit different. So I get down there. And you're watching it, and it felt like a series of unfortunate events were happening with penalties and things that were setting Auburn back. But I'll tell you what, Peyton Thorne's scramble up the middle won the game.
Yeah.
In my mind, the big scramble where he crossed the 50-yard line, that won the game for Auburn. And
it was fourth down, too.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, he took off. It was a big chunk play. Auburn seized all the momentum in that moment. And I can tell you, once you get to overtime, do you guys remember, you know what that pass that he completed to Keandre Lambert-Smith to win the game? It felt like the one that TJ Finley completed to in overtime a couple of years ago.
You're talking about,
Yeah, Landon King.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. And I mean, just a play over the middle where you got to make a good pass and your receiver has to make a great catch. And those guys connected on that. And you know, you brought Keandre Lambert-Smith in here in the offseason, and he's been probably one of the best top 10 pickups in all of college football through the portal this year. That's how good he's been. And those guys showed up yesterday. So I just think, you know, for all the season turned out to be, give these guys their credit, because right now they've set up an Iron Bowl that won't be significant in terms of the college football playoff, because in my mind, Bama should be out. There are a lot of people who are saying that Bama may not be out based on all the other losses that happened. I told you guys, Ole Miss, I told you those frauds were going to lose. I picked them. Did you pick Ole Miss, or did you pick Florida?
I don't remember who I picked in that game.
I was pulling. I wasn't on the show, but I had Florida upsetting Ole Miss. They were due for a letdown somewhere.
Yeah, Billy Napier, man, he deserves a Congressional Medal of Freedom or something for getting this team to this point. But you know, at the end of the day, you have what could be one of the best Iron Bowls. It sounds crazy, right? Because we're talking about an 8-win Bama team right now and a 5-win Auburn team. But so much is on the line in this Iron Bowl in terms of momentum going into the offseason. You know, Kalen DeBoer, listen, he's feeling, I will take you back to SEC Media Days. I asked this man straight to his face, like, hey, what is your plan for these SEC defenses? Because they're going to hit different. They didn't score a touchdown last night, and now we get an Iron Bowl next week, which has a lot on the line. There's a bowl game on the line for Auburn, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, for Alabama, their spot, like that, you know, that perch that they've sat on in college football for so long is on the line next week. If they lose to this Hugh Freeze team, I'm I can't. The meltdown coming from the Bama side is going to be epic.
It's already started.
Yeah.
There
it
is
has.
literally,
It has.
I promise you,
Hide
I
your
am not
trees.
kidding this. There is literally a post on a Bama board right now, if they have not nuked it, that is saying they think they would have done better if they had Peyton Thorne instead of Jalen Milroe this season.
Stop.
That's a real thing.
Did you
That is a
screenshot that, Mike?
I did not screenshot it because I'm not on the board. Someone sent it to me, and I think
Okay.
someone sent me a screenshot of that. But
Oh
that's a
my
real thing.
gosh, that
Yeah.
is incredible.
The meltdown has absolutely
That is
begun.
incredible.
I mean, when you look at them statistically,
Can
Peyton
you
Thorne
send me that
has
and I
better
frame that
statistics.
picture?
Peyton Thorne does have better passing statistics on the season than Jalen Milroe does, but that's a thing. That's a thing.
Yikes.
So yeah, man, I'm enjoying social media and the meltdowns that are precipitating from that fan base right now, because they didn't expect to be in this position. No matter how much people have told them, hey,
They were ready to hand Jalen Milroe the Heisman a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks
Come
ago.
on, man. Well, it was earlier in the season, and they had beat Georgia, and they were like, "Come on, he's the best quarterback in college football." I said, "Just wait, he'll show up." Because I'm going to go back and pull the Feinbaum clip where Bama fans jumped all over me, and I told Paul Feinbaum, I said, he is not Nick Saban, right? And recruits were sensing that this guy is not Nick Saban. He inherited one of the most talented roster by composite star rating that any coach has ever inherited. And here you are. And if Hugh Freeze can pull off the win versus Bama next week, a lot will be forgiven.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a lot will be forgiven going into this offseason.
Yeah.
6-6 bowl game, because 6-6 is where I had the floor. It seemed unlikely, but they are one huge upset away. South Carolina went in there and ran them to a 2-point margin. They can be beat. This team can be beat. Yeah. The Aura and Tuscaloosa, and we'll be there. Ike and I are going up there to witness it firsthand.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game, and talking, Mike G and I talked to a lot of players, particularly after games, just kind of as they're exiting the facility, and the vibes are high right now. Of course, after you get a win like that, and literally the first thing after almost every single person I dap up and say da da da. The next thing that they say after I congratulate them is, we're not done. We got one more left.
We got one more to go. Yeah. Yeah. Standing outside and watching the pure joy that was on those guys' faces last night was pretty incredible. They needed that one because we've been there in the hard times, right?
Right.
I saw Peyton Thorne after the game, and I couldn't help but feel happy for him.
So two things. Peyton Thorne has never come out of the stadium still wearing his uniform. Last night, he still had his uniform on. Yeah. Secondly, even after wins, Peyton Thorne has never come out of there looking absolutely joyful. He's normally just kind of even keel, even if he's smiling. He was happy. He was legitimately happy last night. I was like, yo, bro, I can't help but feel good for this kid, man.
Yeah. Like he gave me a very uncomfortable uniform hug. Like the pads feel uncomfortable. But despite what some people in our listener base may think, we actually have a really good relationship with Peyton Thorne at the War Report. He shared a lot with us. We've gone on this journey with him. And he's got maybe 2 more games left as an Auburn Tiger. And that's what I said earlier in the week. I said, you have 2 games left to paint your legacy as an Auburn Tiger. And, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to do what you've done all season? But, it hasn't all been on Peyton. And I thought last night, these coaches were in their bag as much as they've been calling plays at any point this season. The play calling was fantastic. And then I asked Freeze on Monday, I said, is there a plan to continue to try to get the balls Cam Coleman like you did on last Saturday versus ULM. And what he said was, well, we got to take what the defense gives us, or some to that extent. And I hated that answer, and I was happy to see that they had an emphasis on getting Cam the ball last night. Like it's scheme it up and get him open, because that's what everybody else is doing with their star receivers. We're not hearing this, and from the Cam Coleman camp, I can tell you that there was some frustration this year about why they just weren't throwing him the ball. He only had 15 catches going into last week's game on the season. 15 catches. That's crazy. And I think Auburn's leading receiver last year was Jay Fair. He had 40 catches, Ike?
I don't remember how many he
Maybe.
had, but it was a ridiculous.
Yeah, it was around 40 catches or 38 catches or something like that.
Yeah, it was close
that's
to 40.
crazy.
It was close to 40.
Yeah, your wide receiver, Cam should have easily had around that amount, if not a little bit more this year. Yeah. And they didn't really start throwing him the ball on these kind of short and intermediate routes until a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, at the second half versus Kentucky, it started to rear its head, and then it just kind of precipitated after that, and it's good. But that's one of the things KLS was saying after the game. He was like, man, just give me a shot, man. That's what he told Peyton Thorne after the first failed attempt in the end zone. He's like, we've run that play in practice so many times, and it's worked in practice. The play that they won the game on, he was like, man, just throw it to me, bro. Just give me a shot, and I'll go make a play for you. And that's kind of
I'll go get it. Yeah.
That's what they need to kind of keep doing with these guys that are talented enough to go. That's why you brought them in. That's why you brought. Mike G said this a billion times during the offseason. They want guys that can turn 50-50s into 80-20s. Just give them a shot to go do it, man.
Yeah.
Put it in position where they can go make a play. They will make the play more times than they won't.
That's a fact.
I do want to talk
about
2
catches last night.
Who's that?
Keandre Lambert-Smith only had 2 catches last night for 104 yards.
No, he definitely had at least 3. He at least
the ESPN is showing 2, but I thought he had more than 2.
He at least because he had the catch at the end of the game to win it. He had the one.
They should have counted that catch on the sideline that they ruled incomplete.
Yeah, and he had one other one where he broke a tackle and ran for another 20 yards. He at least had 3 that I can remember off the top of my head. So
the Auburn stat side is only credited him with 2 catches.
It's inaccurate because his longest catch is 60 yards. The catch in the end zone didn't make up that difference. So you're right, Ike. He did have another catch somewhere.
So they must only be counting the ones in regulation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cam had 7 for 128 and 2 TDs, long of 63.
Can we talk about can we talk about Jarquez Hunter? Did anyone see him afterwards?
We did. We waited as long as we possibly. He was one of the last people to come out of the locker room yesterday, and he had on a really cool Walter Payton hoodie that I definitely want. But he was smiling as well too. If you've been around Jarquez Hunter, he's kind of a reserved guy, right? He never really gets too high or too low, and when he comes out after a loss, so he doesn't really. He looks disappointed, not really angry. And it was similar to Peyton Thorne, what Ike was saying. He had the biggest smile on his face last night.
Yeah.
And, hugging family. He had a lot of family here that I have not seen at other games. So his family showed up for him. And I know it meant a lot to him because he's only got a couple games left as an Auburn Tiger as well, too. And this was huge for him. So last night, let's see, did he have 28 carries last night?
Yeah, 28 carries.
28 carries for 130 yards and 3 TDs.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Career night for him. Where does that put him on the season in terms of?
I looked that up.
Yeah, I think that because he was about 200 yards behind the kid Dylan Simpson from Tennessee. But I think he made up some ground on him last night in terms of total conference leading rushing yards.
Yeah, I looked that up. Ike, are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now. He did some damage last night, and again, he's got one more game. But they've got him with 1,145 yards on the season, so he's about 163 2 yards behind Dylan Simpson.
Auburn goes to a bowl, he can definitely get that.
He can definitely get that, right? But it should be noted that Dylan Sampson has
Yeah, I don't think he's going to catch
58 more carries than Jarquez Hunter this year.
Yeah.
58 more carries.
But again, you're talking about a guy who's been averaging, like his average per carry has just been ridiculous this season. This is the lowest he's ever had in the game.
6.6 yards per carry.
Yeah. So that was just an important game for those seniors, considering what they've been through. That's how you want to play your last game with Jordan Hare.
And it was senior night.
Yes, on senior night. So I was happy for a lot of those guys to be able to leave that stadium like that, feeling the way that they felt. It was tremendous to see. Gentlemen, we're going to talk about, we've talked offensively about what we saw. We're going to talk about the defense when we come back from the break, because I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts on what you saw defensively. Ike, you kind of made mention of it a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of dive into that and have a talk there. Guys, you're watching the Weekend Tailgate. Please be sure to share this video, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Going to pay some bills real quick, gentlemen, and come back and discuss your comments as well as talk defense.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageroom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
This segment of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at Los Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Go check them out at 1220 Fox Run Ave, Suite 200 in Opelika, Alabama. Guys, if you're looking for a great Mexican experience, Los Amigos has you covered. The beef burrito is my favorite there. It's fantastic. But they are great partners of the community. You see law enforcement in there a lot. Community officials. Los Amigos Restaurant, again, 1220 Fox Run Ave, Suite 200 in Opelika, Alabama. They continue to serve the community. And I can tell you, there's nothing that makes me feel better about walking into a restaurant than seeing 100 on their health score. That's what those guys have going over there. So please go visit them and let them know that the War Report sent you. If you're in the mood for something a little fancier, go visit our friends at Vintage 2298 Restaurant and Butcher Shop. They're at 2298 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, over by the mall. Chef Randall Baldwin is cooking up all the great eats over there. We do a lot of our one-on-one interviews with players at Vintage. So if you watch those and you like those segments, please go support Vintage, because they help us make those segments happen. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com and use code REPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping there. Listen, guys, we're sophisticated men in a sophisticated world. And you got to keep it tight down there. Manscaped has a number of products to help you give your lady a good time along with Joy Mode. But visit them at manscaped.com and use code REPORT to get 20% off, joining the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for their male grooming needs. Last, but I want to mention this as well too. Check us out on podcasts, guys. We need you guys to do this. Head over to podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify. Hit that subscribe button and turn on alerts. This helps us a ton. We've got lots of great audio-only content over there for you guys with the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods. Great stuff coming out every single day for you guys. So whether you're on your way to work or going to the gym, the War Report has you covered on podcasts. We appreciate you guys for supporting us over there.
Let's get to some of you guys' comments here. Ben Bloodworth with the 199 super chat says, feels like some demons were exercised last night.
I agreed. Agreed. At the fourth quarter demons, they got rid of the fourth quarter demon last night, and hopefully that carries over into next week, because I have a feeling that game may play out the same way.
TJ Lou with the 199 also says Kenyatta hinted at getting phone calls.
Free said in the post game, there were a lot of recruits here tonight, and they need to come be Auburn Tigers and help us continue to build that roster. If you remember, it felt like Deuce Knight was holding off his commitment earlier, trying to commit after a win, and then they just wouldn't win. So he said, F it, and just committed. Last night, it was, man, what a big one. This is the second time in 3 years that Texas A&M has visited Auburn, and Auburn has created a Super Bowl-like environment for recruits and fans. It was absolutely insane what the environment was like there last night. For a 4-win football team coming in, fantastic job. But we called on fans to show up on the 2 shows we did earlier in the week. I feel like fans did that. So yeah, we're taking the credit.
Deuce Knight, Jared Smith, Naeem Offord, Usman Chroma, who Cole Pinkston actually has predicted him to actually flip to Auburn.
Yeah, listen, Cole's not wrong a lot.
Yeah,
Cole's not wrong a lot. So if he's predicting it, I'm riding with Cole.
Yeah. So again, that was the environment those kids needed to see, right? And the opportunity to roll Tuma's corner after an Auburn win, a significant win like that. That was important from a recruiting standpoint and just a morale, right? So that was amazing, and I'm glad those kids got to experience that. Ben Bloodworth comes back and says, so happy for Cam Coleman to have a career night against the team he flipped to us from has to feel vindicating.
Yeah, I tweeted this one out last night, reminding fans that he flipped late in the process after Jimbo Fisher got fired and then torched them. You don't win that game last night without Cam Coleman. And this is the impact that top 5 recruits should have on your team. They can be the difference between winning and losing. His 2 TDs and 128 yards receiving definitely were the huge difference. You don't win without him last night.
Mike Elko actually got asked about this on the Wednesday teleconference, and he was just like, well, I wasn't really involved in that process. He had already kind of made his decision before I got hired. He was kind of, I think his answer was almost like, this is irrelevant. Like and I was just like, I don't know how that's going to play, coach.
Yeah, he flubbed it. Look, did you see the interview, the soundbite of him earlier in the week?
Yeah.
Talking about
Auburn football's admin made sure that everybody saw it after the game.
Absolutely.
Oh man, savage. Great PR work there. I love that. I love that they put that out there, and I hope they play that every day this week until they play Texas. Good luck with Texas.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
It was an honest slip of the tongue, I think, but like
it's a Freudian slip for sure.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. TJ Lou with the 199 says DeBoer inherited a McLaren and still got outraced.
Yeah, like I mean, legit. He drove the thing in third gear all season. You know what I mean? He never shifted to 5th gear.
Maybe he's got the wrong driver. Maybe it's the issue.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody taught him how to drive a stick, apparently.
Well, Alabama fans are convinced they got the wrong driver. They're calling for his head.
Good. Yeah, feel the anxiety the rest of us have felt.
Every 2 or 3 games, they are turning on Jalen Milroe over there. But see, they swear they didn't do this to Jalen Hurts. They swear now that they loved him the entire time he was there, and it's like, no, you guys have amnesia. Y'all railroaded that man, and then when he got to the NFL, you tried to love him again. That's not how this works.
Built by Bama or something like that. They kept saying,
get out of here.
Yeah. Has Funny Mane dropped his latest segment?
Oh no, Lawrence is asking that.
No,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's time. Shout out to him. He gave us a shout out on his last video.
Mane's a cool dude, man. But I am going to enjoy watching this one.
This is a unique place for them because there was no place else to go but down after Nick. There really wasn't.
We tried to tell them that though. You are losing. It is crazy work to think that you're going to lose the greatest coach of all time and not have some sort of drop off. So B and I used to argue about this, about anybody could win with that roster. Like, no, we've seen it time and time again. You can coach these kids down. You can absolutely mess up a bunch of talent. And it might get worse from here. Like, what happens if he misses on quarterback after Milroe?
And there's a lot of work to figure out how they're going to get the right guy in there for this team.
Yeah, you're one bad quarterback away from having the type of season Auburn is having with the competition that you go up against week in and week out in the SEC. That you could get away with that in the pack. You can't. The guys on the other side of the field every week are just too good.
Yeah. Brad Brownie has a comment here. Is with what DeBoer did with Penix last year, I was worried about what he could do with Milroe.
Yeah,
Milroe's he's not the same kind of quarterback.
He's not the same kind of quarterback.
I've been saying from the beginning, like, you can't play. Jalen Milroe can't do what Michael Penix does. So you have to figure out a different. And I thought they had figured that out and said, all right, we're not going to try to force him to be Michael Penix in a Bama jersey. And for whatever reason, and listen, it's a convergence of a lot of things. Oklahoma's got a really good defense, and Bama apparently legitimately cannot stop the run. But
I like that.
Depending on Milroe to be surgical is not going to be winning football for Alabama.
That's a fact. Yeah, like, look, and the competition has to be considered as well too. They should have lost to Arizona State. I don't know if you guys saw that game that Washington played.
Last season.
It was an awful game that they probably should have lost, but you can get away with that in the pack, and eventually in the SEC, somebody's going to get you if you play like that. And he's delivered that.
They did have some close calls last season, Mike.
Yeah,
to your point.
They didn't score a touchdown last night.
None. That was. I think the chat told us it's been 20 years the last time Bama scored like 3 points. Now it was 2011 when they won the 9-6.
LSU
Against LSU. But that's how long it's been. It never happened in the Saban era where they scored 3 points.
Facts.
Never happened. So
never
that was a historical night for Bama.
There are a lot of never happens they hadn't lost 2 games before November since 2007. But that happened. Right? When was the last time they didn't, like, how many years have they made the playoffs since Saban was the coach? Since the inception of the playoff?
A lot more than what they didn't.
Like, maybe there's like 2 years where they didn't make it.
Yeah.
They're gonna miss it this year. Like, get used to it. Get used to being one of us. Because that ship has sailed.
Yeah. Between Two Busy says, will Bama fans be deflated after the OK loss? They're already there, buddy.
Yeah, they definitely are. But if you are a Bama fan and you're watching and you're deflated, try Joy Mode. Go to joymode.com. 20% off plus free shipping when you use code rapport, just in case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey. All right. Cleveland Brown says, I'm grateful we got the W. A part of me gave up because we're not usually a comeback team, yet here we are. We'll eat a little crow for that.
I think a lot of people have to eat, because once Texas A&M took the lead, actually once Texas A&M tied it, you felt like, oh shit,
here we go.
All right, it was fun while it lasted, and then Auburn gets a score, and you're like, okay, well maybe the defense can just hold them out of the end zone for the rest of the game. Then they kick a field goal, and you're like, oh crap, here we go, and then get the ball back a couple of times. Golly, man.
Look, and then the biggest issue going into overtime was like, since when have we demonstrated we can do well in the red zone?
Right.
Like, that was the other concern going into overtime.
Because that's all red zone.
That's all red zone. So it's just like, I don't feel good about this, guys.
November 5th, 2022 was the last time Auburn scored 30 plus points and lost a game versus Mississippi State. I think that was the game that Bo got hurt in. It's the last time. And now they haven't gotten to 30 points a bunch of times since then. But like, the significance of crossing that 30-point threshold and winning or losing meant something to Auburn in this one. So when it was 24, I kept saying, I was like, it feels like one more score could win this game.
Yeah.
If they could just get it. And then it got to 28, and it was an uneventful second half offensively until those final few minutes.
Yeah. Amazing. Gentlemen, let's talk about a few things here. Some of the guys, I left some of the comments that are specifically defensive related. Lawrence Robinson did say, we said in the preview video Ike made that the A&M secondary could be had. They definitely were had in this game. Auburn took advantage of that. The rest of the comments is pretty much related to the defense. Ephesians 2, 8-9 says, Mike G, would you say the defense played good in this game?
Look, that's a very talented quarterback on the other side of the field.
Man.
So you want to give A&M credit. I mean, they were having a very good season considering what they came off of in Mike Elko's first year. So you don't want to take anything away from them. It was tough. It was a tough task. But ultimately, and I'm looking at the numbers here, I just want to make sure I get this right. These teams, they gave up what? 464 yards of total offense to A&M. That's the most that they've given up to any Power 4 opponent all year.
Yeah,
it is, and I think that's the significant challenge I think that A&M posed to Auburn last night. But they came up with turnovers. Like they got the interception on him big that ended what could have been a scoring drive. That could have been the difference in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If they score there, Auburn could possibly have lost that game. Field goal or touchdown. And so you just have to give them credit. They came up with enough plays to win. When the Auburn offense started stalling out in the second half, I thought it was tough. It felt like in the first half, they had the way they were scoring, it felt like they had 6 or 7 possessions. And I remember I turned to Ike and saying, how many times did they have the ball? They scored on every drive, and they had only had it 3 at the time.
Yeah.
At the end of the second quarter, but they scored on all of those drives. So I thought that the defense did a good job getting the offense as many opportunities as they could to win that game. And they did it one more time at the end of the game, because remember, with 5 minutes left, Auburn had the ball. They turn it over and have to punt. I'm sorry. And then they get the ball back for their offense one more time. They didn't let Texas A&M run the clock out on them.
That's impressive.
It was very impressive.
Usually you're gassed and it's hard to get a stop at that point.
Yeah. I thought they did I thought they did a fantastic job, all things considered, but they showed up when Auburn needed them the most, and that's what matters.
100%. 100%. Wesley Hilson brings this up. I want you to talk about him, Ike. Cameron Crawford.
Yeah, man. This is the guy we heard about, that was going to be J-Mac the sequel, right? Just off of the edge, an absolute terror to try to block, showing speed and agility. And he showed it all in this game, running down. We already talked about how talented Marcel Reed is, running him down several times in the open field. He had 5 great open field tackles. And he was wrecking the game last night. Like some of that's not going to show up in the stat sheet, how much he impacted plays more than he got a tackle on a play. But he had a beast of a game, and he showed up in some very critical spots for Auburn when they needed, there was one or two of those tackles on Reed where it was like, yo, if he doesn't make that tackle, man, I don't know how long Reed is running after this. So
I remember. I was like, I remember turning to you and being like, "Yo, he was gone. If he didn't make that tackle, he was gone."
Yeah.
It was possibly a touchdown if he doesn't make the tackle.
Some other the defensive line just played an amazing game. Guys like Philip Bleedy had an amazing game. The youngsters, again, this has been kind of the story of the season for this year's defense. But Malik Blockton he only had 2 tackles, but those were some big plays he made. Guys like Caleb Harris. Caleb Harris was a star last night for this defense. Demarcus Riddick.
Demarcus Riddick is, I said it a bunch of times, and it felt like he was getting overlooked in all the freshman hype. And Freeze has literally said we became a different team when he started raising his level of play.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. There he was. I posted 2 of the biggest ones, but he had he knocked down a pass, a big one there in the second half. He was just around the ball all the time, man. You have to be one of the things I love about getting the win and possibly getting, the win against Bama next week is you get to see guys like DeMarcus Riddick continue to evolve under DJ Durkin, because this is really just the beginning for this defense, which is with as many freshmen that they're playing. Riddick is a monster.
Listen, it was impressive seeing those guys make the plays that they made. And again, this is your young core. So I'm pleased to see that this is the future of Auburn's defense and what DJ Durkin has to work with moving forward. And they're only getting better in terms of who they're bringing in from a talent perspective. Like, it's only going to get better after this again.
Yeah. And Coach Freeze talked about Riddick and him not playing as much in the second half being because, he still doesn't know the full defense yet, right? And he's got the talent to be able to do all the stuff. He just doesn't know. And so they've limited the things that, they are asking him to do, which is crazy to think that he's only going to improve because he's going to get more snaps out there, because he's going to be able to be on the field because he knows more of the defense going into next year. So as he continues to improve and you add more of that young talent that's out there that's been learning and waiting in the wings, it could be scary hours for that defense.
Yeah,
man.
That's
fact. One of the things that I made mention of, Mike, you said that the defense made plays when they had to. I think one of the things that I pointed out in the post-game reaction, gentlemen, was time of possession. I think when you look at the most yards that Auburn has given up, you also have to look at how that correlates to time of possession. A&M had the ball for 36 minutes and 35 seconds in this game, compared to Auburn having the ball for 23 minutes and 25 seconds. That's just regulation alone. So when you consider that, and when you consider the success that A&M was having in the second half, actually, they was winning time of possession going into the half because two of Auburn's scoring drives were quick drives. It wasn't like Auburn methodically went down the field. So considering that and what A&M was able to do to get back in the game, it's amazing Auburn was able to make the stops that they were making late in that game.
Yeah, agreed. The time possession numbers look a little skewed when you're hitting big plays the way they were in the first half. Time of possession might look a little skewed because you're giving the ball back to their offense, and their quarterback was running the ball, so they were kind of grinding out drives, and then Auburn comes back 3 plays, touchdown, right? The offense was working last night. It was, but that's kind of the give and take. We talked about this early in the Malzahn area with all the spreads and hurry up offenses, is that when those offenses when they go 3 and out, you put your defense back on the field. But when they quick strike the way they do, you put your defense back on the field. So going 3 or 4 or whatever in the first half in terms of scoring on those drives, I think was super important for Auburn to jump out to a lead and then hold on for dear life, which is what they did.
I'm looking at the snap distribution here, and they did a really good job last night of rotating defensive linemen in on this game, which is what and that's the difference in being able to close games like this, is you have enough guys up front that you can trust to rotate in and out of there. They didn't rely Keldrick Falk played 68 minutes along the defensive front, but outside of that, it's a bunch of 30 minutes and 20 minute situations up there. So they did a good job of keeping guys fresh for that stretch run at the end, and it showed at the end of the game how they were able to close that out.
Agreed.
Question from some people in those in the comments. Appreciate y'all being with us. Todd Jordan asks, is Keontae still on the team?
Yeah, he only played 3 snaps last night, but yes, he's definitely still on the team, and he enjoyed himself after the game too. So.
Yeah, it's nice.
Did we lose Mike?
I think so.
With his eyes closed there.
He's back.
Oh, he's back. He's back. What were your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I was saying we got a good picture of him smoking a cigar after the game, so he enjoyed himself.
Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Some of the points that people are making here, French Taylor asks, or he says, I hate the 3-man lineman rush defense.
It's got its merits, and I understand why people dislike it, though. It is
I
frozen.
It has its
understand why
pros
you
and
might
cons.
hate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what and I saw a lot of benefits of it last night. But again, against a quarterback like Marcel Reed, when he has time to throw the ball.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm gonna bring this up next week.
Okay.
Time to throw is important if the quarterback is patient enough to go through his reads, and Marcel Reed does not panic. He just doesn't. Like he'll sit back there and he'll wait for his opportunity, and he'll wait and so it is a little bit more difficult with a guy like that. But then you have to think about if you rush him and you don't get to him, he's dangerous in the open field. So you kind of have to you got to
With it a
mix it
little
up.
bit,
It's like
which
every
is
now
yeah.
sometimes you'll only rush 3, sometimes you'll rush 4, sometimes you'll blitz, bring 5. Like, but you can't just show him the same picture over and over and over again because Marcel Reed's good, man. Like I hadn't actually watched him play. Like earlier in the season when people were hyping him up because he had won those games while Connor Wigman was hurt. I was like, okay, I didn't really. When I sat down and watched his film, I was like, nah, this kid's really good, man. Like his poise is there. He goes through his progressions and like he'll get to a second, third read sometimes. He steps up in the pocket. He doesn't panic when he's getting blitzed. Like he's got all the stuff you need to be a really good quarterback with the arm talent. He's not just a one read and run quarterback. Like I like him, man. Like I don't give high praise to a lot of guys.
He's gonna be a
Marcel
problem in
Reed,
the future.
the film on Marcel Reed shows this kid's good. He'll make mistakes every now and then, but he's young. So
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
James Barnett asked, fellas, is A&M's offense better than Bama?
Ooh,
Mm.
Bama's a better run team, I think, overall.
Yeah.
But passing wise, yes, I think A&M is better. And I if you're asking me which quarterback is better, I'd take Reed over Milroe.
Oh, really?
So,
Yeah,
yes,
I would too.
yes,
I would
yes. I would
too.
take Marcel Reed over Jalen
I
Milroe.
would as well.
Yeah,
I would as well.
Hmm.
Let's see.
but Jalen Milroe is like he is a home run threat as a runner. Like I don't think Marcel Reed's a home run threat. He's a first down easily, but like you get Milroe in the open field and good luck. So
Robert with the 499 super chat says all season the Auburn defense has had to pick up the slack of an inconsistent offense. DJ and that defense deserve all the spotlight.
Yeah. Defense did what they needed to do to make sure that they closed this game out. Like after the second shanked punt there, the first one, I don't think A&M scored off of that at all. I think they missed a field goal or something on the first one. I can't remember. But they were in other than the interception that happened like at the 20-yard line or something like that. They were in situations where they were given short fields consistently. And they stood up to the task of forcing field goals or no points in a lot of those situations. Nothing but props to that defense and what they were able to do because, yeah. I mean, 41 points doesn't feel like your defense performed really well, but they did an excellent job when they were called upon.
TJ Lou asks he says the Jay Crawford Ryan Williams clash will be epic.
They're going to move Ryan Williams all over the place. Auburn doesn't typically make DBs travel, so they're going to try to find matchups with him. Like they'll line him up in the slot. They'll put him everywhere they need to.
Lee would have been on him though.
Durkin's not going to make anybody travel with him. I don't think we have a situation like where it was a couple of years ago. What year was that? 2022, where Roger McCreary was just like, nah, bro.
Yeah,
like,
he had to stay with the best. Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm gonna travel wherever he goes. I'm gonna be there. I don't know that they're gonna go to that level to try to shut Williams down, but we'll see.
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see next week. Let's see here. Let's talk about this. Let's switch gears, gentlemen. B Will's forehead asks y'all's thoughts on the doo-doo officiating, which means B Will's forehead already has an opinion on what he saw last night from an officiating standpoint.
Yeah, Josh Pate tweeted out last night that the SEC just should be ashamed of what they're putting on the field with these officials week in and week out. And I agree. It's just a lot of what feels like game-changing calls happening. I don't know that I've been really happy with the officiating at all this year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that OPI that they called on Fairweather was
Crazy.
Right after,
I don't even
right
understand.
after
Yeah, like I
the
can
missed
almost
hold.
understand. Like it should have
Yeah.
at least been holding, right? Like
Yeah,
I can
yeah, that's
understand
what I'm
you
saying. It's
calling
not PI.
Yeah.
It's a hold, which means it's irrelevant of whether it was catchable or not.
right.
Right.
But to call that OPI on that one, I was just like, bro, what are we doing? Like that is such a bad call that I am astonished that he even threw the flag. Like I was just like, what are we doing, bro?
What was the on the Keandre Lambert Smith catch on the sideline? It felt like because it looked to me like he had possession with at least one toe down, but did they not have a clear shot of the ball with his toe down? Is that
Yeah, I think the
Yeah, that's
issue
what
was
it
whether or
was.
not he had possession while his feet were still on the ground. I'm not mad at that call because it was so close where I'm like, okay, we can get away with that one. But there were some other ones where I was just like, bro, like, come on, man, like let's stop trying to pretend like you're not making terrible calls here because this isn't even close to a good look.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Next year during media days, they're gonna have an officials thing. I might need to ask a few more questions.
yeah.
Like what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, it was pretty bad last night. Definitely bad last night. We got some comments here. Offensively, Rick Cazenave says, "Remember when Penn State down talking KLS, one of the top non QB expert transfers this season, leading the wide receiver room and leading on the field. Great get again. This guy is what? How close is he to 1,000 yards on the season?
Like 170 something yards, something like that.
I think he had
Yeah,
what,
he
500 yards, 600 yards receiving last year for Penn State. Like this
600. He was in the 666, I think.
Okay. He's put something on tape.
He's at 865 right now, so he needs 100 and what's that, 35?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the third leading receiver in the conference behind Trey Harris and Andrew Armstrong, who are already past the 1,000-yard mark.
So
Amazing year.
135, and he can get there. Listen, this Bama defense might give a couple big plays. He could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could. Or get a bowl game and he'll get there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a better.
Peyton Thorne is going to likely throw for 2,500 yards this season, dog.
He should be in the 2,600-yard range. He's already at 24 something.
That's what I'm saying. He's at 24 right now, so he's likely going to get to 25. And that, but this is the kind of season we ask for Peyton Thorne to have, though. 2,500 yards passing. He's throwing for 63%.
That's like a 3% improvement over his career average.
Like this is the kind of season. 20 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Like I know it feels like Peyton Thorne had this awful season, but he had kind of an average quarterback season, which is kind of what you want him to have.
He was so bad early,
yes,
to where his improvement, like it's hard to see that this guy's actually improved over the course of the year because of how bad he was early on.
Those first 3 games make it feel like he just had this awful season. Well, first 3 power conference games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really what it is. And the fact that people came into the season wanting somebody else didn't help either. In terms of perspective. Let's see here. Darius Lee says O-line was surprisingly good last night.
In spots, like I said, but at some point in time, Texas A&M just was like, screw it, and they just started blitzing, and it's like, all right, we're gonna send 7. You only have 5 blockers. Good luck. Like what do you do about that?
And when you start doing that, you start seeing a lot of false starts, and Auburn is at the line looking at the sidelines, like they're trying to get the right call.
Yeah.
A&M is moving guys around, bringing guys up to the line, and those guys are starting to get antsy. So
They kept Payne Thorne clean on 78.4% of his dropbacks last night, which is pretty good.
it's
A
pretty
pressure
good.
rate of
They had a good game.
21.6%. Yeah,
PT was
is
getting
a
the
pretty
ball
good.
out of his hands. That was the bit, like, he wasn't dancing around back there trying to figure it out a lot either. He was like, all right, cool, let's get to it and get it out of here. And he played a good game, man. Like, there was a portion in there in the middle of the game where I was like, come on, bro, like, what's happening here? Early in the game, he looked good. Middle of the game, it wasn't so good. But man, he clutched up at the end. I can't say enough about the game tying drive and Peyton Thorne in overtime. How good he played in those moments.
That's what you've been asking of him, though.
Yeah, just make. I don't need you to be amazing the whole game, but when you need it, can you just give me a couple?
There was a play where it was late in the game. He scrambled out to his right, and it looked similar to the play where he threw the interception, and then he just threw it away. He just threw it out of bounds. And I couldn't help but think to myself, when he was rolling, I was like, don't try to force it here.
Yeah.
Like, you're in scoring position. Like, don't try to force it here. Just throw the ball out. And he did that. And, those are the underrated plays, I think, that we don't talk about enough, where, you go out and it seems pretty routine, but like when they don't do it.
That's what he literally did on the interception. It's like, in that situation, just throw the ball away. Like,
Throw the ball
don't force
away.
it.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that later in the game. You preserve the again. You could ask for some of those throws back. There were some situations where he didn't make good throws, but again, I've never asked Peyton Thorne to be perfect. Never. Like, it's not even a realistic expectation. Just do enough to get us in position, because you've got enough playmakers out there. Just do enough to get in a position where your playmakers can go make plays for you, and that's what happened last night.
Yeah.
TJ Lou says Peyton Thorne's stats are better than Mildew's.
His passing stats for sure. Like, he's got more passing yards. He's got a better, I think, completion percentage. He's got a better touchdown to interception ratio. Now, when you add the rushing statistics onto there, Milroe's in a different league. But yeah, as far as a passer is concerned, yeah, I mean, but I expect Peyton Thorne to throw the ball better than Jalen Milroe.
Save this one. This is a pretty funny one here. Legit says, "Hey, where's that one Bama dude that's usually in here trolling?"
He got his own problems to deal with right now.
I haven't seen Five Adam. I haven't seen Sharice. I haven't seen Seeger. I haven't seen. There's one other dude that's always in here. Like, I ain't seen none of them today. What happened?
Yeah.
Maybe they're in here lurking. They haven't commented. Skip,
that's funny.
Skip, I ain't seen Skip. It's a handful of them that usually just pop up here randomly. And have
they got their own problems to deal with. Yes, go tend to your own.
Say that in Shannon Sharp voice. Skip. Okay. We got a great question here from Robert. Quick thoughts on the ISU game tomorrow, man.
I will have something for you guys specifically about that either later today or dropping early tomorrow. I plan on recording a preview for that today. So I got y'all.
Word. Good stuff. We got, gentlemen, last thoughts before we get out of here about what we saw last night leading into the Iron Bowl regular season finale.
Yeah, look, they needed this one. If anything, it gives you hope going into the next game. It keeps something on the line, which is a bowl berth. And you had a chance to change the narrative over these last 3 games by winning the last 3. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it happening. I thought, the way they were playing, there's no way this team makes a bowl game, but they've done it, and you got to give them credit for putting themselves in position to do that. I want to stress, even if Auburn had lost that game last night, that loss would not have been on Peyton Thorne in my mind. It would not have been. He played well yesterday. He gave Auburn a chance to win. He hit deep pass after deep pass, giving his receivers a chance to catch the ball down the field. Some of them were perfect passes. Others, you had like with Keandre Lambert-Smith, where he just goes up and mosses a dude and takes the ball. Big plays were made by Payne Thorne last night. And it's, again, I can't stress, after the game, I couldn't help but smile when I saw him. He gave me a big hug, and I just told him, look, man, I know it's been a long road to this point here, but he has a chance to finish really strong. He has, and leave Auburn fans with a great memory by going into Tuscaloosa and getting the win against a Alabama team that quite honestly, they can be beat. They can be beat. This defense is good enough to do it. We just saw them get goose egged in terms of touchdowns by Oklahoma last night. If they can do that, Auburn can do that. So, we played that Oklahoma team much better than they did.
Auburn beat a really good team last night. Texas A&M is a really good team.
Yeah.
And that good teams make plays. They make plays. And so there were some things that Auburn was just going to have. The fact that A&M didn't go away was a testament to them more so than anything Auburn really did in that second half. Obviously, Auburn could have played better, but you had lined up on the other side of you a team that was truly in playoff contention, possibly a playoff team. So that's it to me. I just think for them to survive that, and again, you had a great environment for that last night, a fan base that helped wield you across the finish line. It was all hands on deck, and Auburn showed up in all aspects. Ike, any other thoughts, man?
Nah, just a good win. Happy for the young men in that locker room, and let's do it again next weekend.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. I'm here
See
for
you in Tuscaloosa.
Mike G, give us some announcements before we get out of here, sir.
Guys, want to thank our show sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights, and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. We want to thank Golden's Cast Iron for sponsoring the War Report. They've been great partners. Help us out by visiting goldenscastiron.com/WR and taking advantage of these discounts on a lot of the great products that they have there. Also want to thank show sponsor Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code rapport to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has you covered. They've been longtime sponsors as well. Go visit our guy Richard. Let him know the War Report sent you. And last but certainly not least, want to thank show sponsor Los Amigos Mexican Restaurant. If you're in the Auburn, Opelika area and you're looking for a great Mexican dining experience, they've got you covered over there. 1220 Fox Run Ave, Suite 200 in Opelika, Alabama. If you guys are in there, where the old driver's license office is over there, that's where they sit. But great members of the community, 100 on their health score, great food, great service, just great partners with the War Report. We appreciate them for sponsoring this. Last but certainly not least, check us out on podcasts. Every single podcast network, the War Report is there, bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. The Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods for your ride to work, or whether you're at the gym, the War Report has you covered there.
And before you get out of here, please be sure to share this video. Smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. On social media, you can find us on X, IG, and even Facebook at The War Report. You can even find us on TikTok at TW Report. Zipper now, guys. But again, we have a lot of content coming your way. It's a big week for Auburn, both football as well as basketball, and we will be covering all of that. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for that content. Until then, enjoy this win from last night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.